All right, so there's a very scary sounding article making its rounds through the fitness space right now. If you've missed it, here's what it looks like. It's from Consumer Reports. You can read the byline, but it basically says that over 2/3 of the protein powders they tested contain more lead in a single serving than experts say is safe to have in a day. So what's going on here? Who are these experts? Let's find out. Well, surprise, they weren't actually experts. It's just California's Prop 65, that's that top red bar, arbitrarily set threshold of half a microgram a day. When the Prop 65 legislation was written, it represented California's better safe than sued policy. It's an extremely litigious state, and this is something like 30 or 40 years ago, so the instruments that we had to detect lead were very unsophisticated, and basically it was a yes, no, does the product contain lead? If the company that was manufacturing the product could not prove that the product had zero lead, right, anything below 0.5 micrograms, they had to include the label so consumers couldn't sue them. Next, I want to talk to you about these yellow bars. These are the FDA safety thresholds for lead consumption. That's children, about 4x the Prop 65 level. That's women of childbearing age, about 16x. And that's adult males, about 25x. Now, here's the cool part about these numbers. These have a 10x margin of safety built in. So in order to reach a blood level concentration that the CDC would consider dangerous, you'd have to consume about 10x more than even these bars. And here's the last bit. I put two common foods that most Americans consume every day, salt and dark chocolate, and two of the products that were actually tested in the Consumer Reports article. Here, first up is Redmond's Real Salt, 260 parts per million lead. By the way, if you want a lower number, consider a swap to Verisol. I did a video about it earlier this week. But if you were to have 2/4 teaspoon servings a day of Redmond's Real Salt, you'd be over the Prop 65 limit. That's nuts. And then number two, this one's even worse. Dark chocolate, 6x the Prop 65 limit in a one ounce serving of dark chocolate. And if you're anything like me, I'm eating more than 1 ounce in a sitting. So if you were to take this Consumer Reports article literally, they should be advocating that you never eat dark chocolate again. And they're not. That's how you know the whole thing is unfounded. And then there's two products in here that were actually tested. The Jocko Milk RTD is one that we carry. Here's the really easy way to understand this. It's not even the dairy protein that contains the lead. It's the cocoa powder, as you can see from the dark chocolate. And it's still way below any sort of threat threshold that you should even be worried about. And even if you take the absolute worst offender, the Naked Vegan Gainer, that's a 6-scoop serving, a 315 gram serving of a vegan protein powder. And what do we know about vegan protein powders? Out of the box, they're going to have more lead and other heavy metals than their dairy counterparts because the vegan proteins come from the soil, and during their life cycle, they absorb all the nutrients from the soil, including the heavy metals contained therein. This whole thing is a nothing burger. You don't have to worry about this.